welcome to the session, and I'll hand over to Judith.
Fantastic. Thank you, Laura, for having Cumbria CVS here at LOC in the Lakes 2022. Yes, so my name is Judith Smith. I'm the volunteering manager at Cumbria CVS, and I'm here to talk about how we can support patients into volunteering. So the session today will look at assessing if an individual is ready to volunteer. We'll also look at Cumbria CVS Volunteer Brokerage Service and how we can understand the overall volunteer recruitment process. We've also been joined by Maria, who is one of our digital virtual volunteers, who will explain further about supported volunteering and how volunteering has changed her life. We'll also be talking about formal volunteering opportunities, training opportunities, informal volunteering and community action, along with some frequently asked questions that we often get asked around volunteering in the community. And there'll also be an opportunity to ask some questions as well, really. I'm happy to take questions as we go along, and hopefully as we go through the session, a lot of the questions that you may have will come up. And I think what Annie mentioned earlier on about hearing it from a patient's perspective, I think once you hear from Maria will kind of showcase kind of how volunteering can impact someone's health, and make them feel much more increase of confidence, increase of self-esteem, and really show how volunteering can make a difference to someone's life as well, really. So I often think Maria could actually do the whole session, and I think it's really inspiring about how people can get involved in volunteering and share their skills in the local community as well, really. To begin with, I always think it's really important if you are working with patients in the community to assess if someone is ready to start volunteering as well. Through Cumbria CVS, we generally support third sector organisations and different organisations to recruit volunteers. But a lot of the volunteering opportunities could tend to be 2 to 3 hours a week. It could be an ongoing commitment. It could be as part of a rota, and it can often be quite formal in terms of the actual recruitment process that someone might need to go through. So, for example, if just a patient has some spare time, are they willing to commit to perhaps a regular slot about volunteering? Are they able to share their skills? Are they able to kind of go through perhaps an informal chat with an organisation about volunteering and do application forms, references, DBS checks as well, really? So the whole process of actually getting into volunteering can sometimes be a bit overwhelming to some people. And that's why I always try to assess if you're working with a patient, have a chat with them to see if volunteering is ready for them, is it okay, and it's the best time for them at this moment in time. I believe everyone has got something to offer in volunteering, and that could be informally or it could be formally. So later on in the session, I will be looking at informal volunteering, where if someone isn't ready to kind of get into formal volunteering through Cumbria CVS, the informal volunteering is just as good around helping neighbours and community action, but it might not be as kind of formal and kind of, suppose, getting them through the whole training process and getting into volunteering as well, really. So it's just making sure you're working with someone, assessing kind of what the skills are, what the interests are, what the time is, do they feel ready to start volunteering, but also perhaps working with someone throughout the journey as well. So you might have to start the conversation, but it could be 6 to 8 months to 12 months down the line you're working with someone when they are then ready to start volunteering as well, really. So in terms of Cumbria CVS, for those who don't know, and Annie, I appreciate you're in the North East, but there should be an alternative organisation. So it could be a volunteer centre, it could be a CVS, or it could be someone called a volunteer action or a volunteer development agency, where an organisation is there to kind of help people get into volunteering, or to support organisations to recruit volunteers. In terms of who Cumbria CVS is, Cumbria CVS supports third sector organisations and community groups across Cumbria. We've got a whole range of different opportunities, such as we do training, we do DBS checks, we help with funding advice, we do government support, we help with trustee recruitment. That my unit is around helping organisations to recruit volunteers, to promote their volunteering opportunities, but also to support organisations in terms of practice in volunteer management as well. And we also organise online volunteer recruitment sessions, and we also have face-to-face events in the community where we bring a whole range of different charities and community groups together, you know, such as West Cumbria Carers, Is UK, Oxfam, RSPC, etc. So that they can then promote their volunteering opportunities to people in the community as well, really. So in terms of what is the process to support the patient into volunteering through Cumbria CDS, we have a very simple volunteer contact form that we ask any volunteer to complete, which is so that we can get them registered, find out who they are, where they live, what they're interested in doing as a volunteer, and when they can help, and if they have any additional support needs that we might need to be made aware about, and when they can volunteer, transport issues as well, just so that we can then make sure we can support them the best into volunteering as well, really. Generally, what I offer is a one-to-one informal chat with people so we can find out more information about them and really get to know about volunteers so that we can then identify some potential volunteering opportunities that that person can then get involved with a local third sector organisation, or it could be our local NHS, the council, etc. as well. So as long as we've got some form of community benefit as well, really. As CDS, I can contact any of the organisations on a volunteer's behalf if they give me consent to do so, or the individual will give them contact details so the volunteer can then make contact with the organisations directly themselves. We're also just about to launch a new project in the summer called Step Forward into Volunteering and Employment. This is being funded through the Mental Health Transformation Fund, and it's around supporting individuals with severe mental illness to get into volunteering and employment. We'll also be recruiting a team of volunteer buddies and mentors to be able to offer that one-to-one support for individuals with mental health issues into volunteering employment as well. So through my general work through CDS, I like to be able to offer one-to-one support, but in terms of that intensive support, and then I'm unable to do that due to lack of capacity. So the involvement of volunteer buddies, the idea is that they will be trained and then will be matched to an individual who would like to volunteer or would like to go into employment, but support them through that journey. And that journey could be picking up the phone and arranging an interview with a charity about volunteering. It could be helping them complete an application form, which again, that can be quite daunting if you need to volunteer. It could be taking them down to go and meet a host organisation to try out the volunteering. And it could also be starting volunteering with them or helping them on a placement through employment, for example, as well, really. So it's about taking small steps, but it's also about working with that patient about what their needs are, what are their aspirations, and what are the barriers, so we can then hopefully overcome them and moving forward into volunteering and employment as well. So we're just about to launch it, just recruiting some new staff, and then it'll be launched in the summer as well. So obviously we'll let Laura know, and then she can share that amongst her networks as well, really. In terms of the different types of volunteering opportunities, we produce these every quarter. On our website, you can actually download one for each geographical area of Cumbria, both Carlisle, Eden, South Lakes, Barrow, and West Cumbria. But we've also got theme sheets around volunteering with children and young people, AMO-related opportunities, and we've also got a trustee volunteering opportunity as well. So anyone who's got any financial skills, chairs, secretaries, treasurers, etc., or just general trustees as well. Then it also highlights we've got volunteering opportunities there with our Living Within Beyond Cancer project for cancer support volunteers in North Cumbria. And we've also got opportunities there for volunteer fundraising champions, which is a new initiative through CDS to try and support organisations that need more fundraising volunteers. So you can download some more information on our website there as well, really. In terms of what the actual formal volunteer recruitment process is for individuals, generally if they contact CDS and they volunteer with an organisation such as, let's say, for example, Oak Animal Rescue, there will be an informal chat and a volunteer interview with the host organisation. There'll also be an application form. There'll be references and a DBS check if it's appropriate to the actual volunteering role. And then also there'll be an opportunity to access induction, training and support with the host organisation as well to make sure that the overall volunteer experience is a positive experience for that volunteer as well. and generally most organisations will reimburse any out-of-pocket volunteer expenses as well. So part of my work is to make sure that the organisations that we refer to do have good practice in volunteer management in place to support people who want to volunteer as well, really. Just a little bit of information. In June, it's National Volunteers Week, and we've got 2 events coming up. On 11th to the 1st of June in Shap at the Memorial Hall, with a large range of organisations who are looking to recruit volunteers between 10 and 12. And I'm also in Workington on the 7th of June between 11 and 12:30, where there'll be a range of West Cumbria volunteer organisations that are looking for volunteers. So you've got, for example, Safe Families, Safe Net, Family Action, West Cumbria Carers, Cumbria Youth Alliance, Hug, etc. West Cumbria Distress, etc. So the range of organisations all need volunteers. So anyone who's interested, whether it's a health professional or a patient or a member of the public, can just drop in at any time at these events and speak directly to these organisations about volunteering. Obviously, CVS will be there to meet and greet people, and also to help with any other opportunities that perhaps there's an organisation not there that you would like to speak to. So after the event, we can then link you up as well, really. I'm going to hand over to our wonderful Maria, who's going to explain about how she got involved in volunteering and what support she's benefited from and what's needed when accessing volunteering opportunities. So I'm going to stop my screen just so you can see Maria, if that's okay. Over to you, Maria.
Thank you. So yeah, Judith asked me to sort of come and share my story. I've been working with Judith for about 18 months. I suffered a breakdown following some various problems about 4 years ago, and long road and lots of hard work and support with specialist therapists, and we were kind of coming to the point where things were looking a little bit better. And one of the big things that I still couldn't get over was the fact I'd lost my job, and having worked full time and loved my job, that was really hard. So she suggested ringing Cumbria CVS and just sort of talking to them. So she gave me a little challenge to just make the phone call. Didn't have to do anything else, just make the phone call. I eventually did after a few failed attempts, and spoke to Judith, and she explained that they do like volunteer recruitments every month. Unfortunately, the next one was, I think, the day after. I wasn't ready then. That was a bit no time to prepare for that one. So I joined the month after. I mean, that little tiny thing there goes to what Judith was just saying about timing. It's everything, and it's knowing. If I'd maybe been encouraged to do that, say 2 months earlier, I wouldn't have been able to, and then that's another failure, and that's another setback. And I was also really lucky that it was Judith, who's been an absolute rock, and volunteering saved my life. It made me want to carry on living, and I do believe without that first referral from my therapist and that first point of contact being Judith, that was what made me able to do it. And it was very informal. Judith sort of talking about both sides there. It was from home, so I was in the safety of where I know, and with mobility issues as well, that barrier was taken away. It was irrelevant whether I could walk, need my wheelchair, whatever. I was at home anyway. And the flexibility. And I think there's something, and I've said this at every one of these talks I've done, and it's something that stuck into my mind from the very beginning, was Judith gave me a little challenge to do as a digital volunteer to create a really short, simple video. So it was skills that I didn't know I had, but realised I did because I mess about on my computer all the time. And I was just doing it for, you know, it had a bit of purpose behind it. But she also said that she took the pressure off by explaining that if I didn't manage to do it, it wasn't the end of the world, because it was an addition to an already sort of ongoing project. So obviously it would be really great if it was there, but also the pressure was taken off. It wasn't the end of the world. And again, it's the support system, which the step forward into volunteering and employment that's starting, it's exactly what I needed. Was it had to be the right time, the right person, the right thing. And I've been so lucky that all of that fell into place for me. And I'm like, I've done a few of these now. And I am getting a bit more comfortable. I think the first one ended up a therapy session and I think I cried. But we're past that now. And I applied for and have got an interview next week for part of the team that is going to be doing the new project. So that's kind of like, I'm terrified. I know if I can get past the interview, I know I can kind of do the job because it's what I've been doing. There's just that thing of the interview, I suppose. It's the first one that I've probably had in 16, 17 years. I was doing the same job for 14 years before I lost my job through ill health. Volunteering is amazing, whether you've got health conditions or not. I think it does give your life a little bit of something special. And obviously with serious mental illness, there's a lot of barriers, but getting the right volunteering role, it doesn't cure anything, because nothing can do that. But oh my goodness, it makes living with it so much easier. Judith mentioned, you know, confidence. For me, it was kind of, I had a purpose again. I've always said from the start with my volunteering, it's my job. And I'll say, oh, I can't, I'm working. And just that word, and I know I'm not getting paid for it, but it's a job. It's something I'm doing for someone else. And also, it's actually really helped with routine. It's given me a bit of structure. And I think for anybody, actually, whether you're working or not, volunteering, formally or informally, you can create your own routine around it as well. I think that's everything. I'm looking at Malma, I've got words written down everywhere to try not to forget anything. But yeah, I think the main takeaway is the right time, the right opportunity, and done it in the right way, formal, informal. And just as I said, I think there needs to be an endless supply of Judiths, basically, because if every person had a Judith, volunteering would be a breeze. whether it's mental illness, physical, both. And as I said, I kind of am proof that actually you can get to a point where whether I get the job or not is irrelevant. I've got an interview, and that's just, I never thought that would happen. So thank you, Judith.
No, I think Maria tells the story 10 times better in terms of how I could actually tell it from the volunteers' point of view. But even the fact she applied the job and then she got shortlisted out of actually 24 applicants as well, I should say. So there's quite a big number of people that actually apply for that job. So even getting to that interview, that's, to me, it's like a high five. Whatever happens, it happens. But I think Maria over the last 18 months has done so much for CBS, and she probably didn't even sell herself then. She's done social media campaigns. She supported me with 15 volunteer recruitment events, a bit like probably Rocking the Lakes really, but for volunteering last June. She's done posters, she's done videos, she's taught organisations how to use Cumbria. She supported me at events in the evenings, at weekends, and she's been like my psychic. And I'm so proud. She's kind of just applied for the job as well, and so she knows she can do it. And it's just getting you through that interview. And I think everyone today can see how much volunteering has helped you, but also how much you've helped CBS as well. So I don't think anyone would like to make any comments. Laura?
I just wanted to come in. I don't know whether you've read what's in the chat, but we all think you are amazing, and you have done amazingly with the support of Judith. This is what this project's about. This is what getting people into volunteering. And then look at you, you've got an interview. It's amazing, and you are brilliant. Don't ever think that you're not perfect just how you are, because you are.
Thank you.
Fantastic, Laura. Annie, you got your hand up there too.
Yes, obviously very inspired listening to your story, Maria, and just wanted to say ups and downs are part of life. So is failure, and the biggest step is about bouncing back, which you've done, and you're just going to go way ahead in life. And just wanted to wish you all the best. You're truly an inspiration, and because you've gone through difficulty, it's easier for you to then support somebody there and to inspire somebody. So not just the thought that whether you are good for the job, I would think the unique experiences you have is unmatched. So that makes you special. Thank you.
Fantastic. There'll be words there, Annie. And then Jean, you've got your hand up too.
I just wanted to reiterate what everybody else. I'm a hot mess sitting here. Honest to goodness, that is so inspiring what you've just said. And I just want to read something. I've actually posted something this morning. It was actually from Healthy Hopes, but it was a quote. It was, "One day you will tell your story of how you've overcome what you're going through now, and it will become part of someone else's survival guide." And that is basically what you have got is so valuable. Even though it's been awful for you, that is going to help somebody else, and that is everything. And that's what it's all about. I just think it's amazing. Just go and absolutely smash that interview, and do exactly what you've done today.
Yeah.
All right, but I think you're brilliant. I'm just really pleased I've been here this morning to hear it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I hope that others can see when they're at that low of I don't want to carry on.
Yeah.
If you can carry on for a little bit, then it changes. So I hope that people do realise that.
They will. Just be yourself, because that can get your message across so much better. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Than somebody who's never been through anything. It's all a learning experience, and I mean, as Judith was saying, you don't sell yourself down. Just really get across what you've done. That's brilliant. Well done, you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everything that you've done for Cumbria CBS, and especially over the 18 months, because you started in lockdown as well. So obviously that's not an easy time as well. So you supported the team, and you know, it would be lost without you. So thank you. Annie, is that another hand? Was it?
Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention, I mean, because Maria said something like, you know, I don't know what people think. And I just wanted to tell Maria that you come across as a very happy, confident person. That's what I see in you. So don't worry about anybody else thinking any other way. That's what you look like. So just be happy and confident. That's what you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
And tell them all about the amazing volunteering that you've been doing for 18 months every single week as well. So you put many hours into volunteering flexibly as well. So and if Maria has good days, she'll do more. If she has a bad day, she lets me know, and we just work around it, and we're flexible. And it's about that communication between the volunteer and an organisation to make sure the volunteer and the patient has that positive experience in volunteering. And if it gets too much, you have to put your hands up and say, whoa, too much. Or sometimes I also say, some more work, and I'm like, whoa, take it a step back and make sure I'm not overwhelming people with volunteering, that they have got enough work and enough tasks to motivate them and to enjoy it. But again, not giving them too much, it gets a bit overwhelming as well. Really.
I think we've had a few bumps where I've thought I'm Superwoman and taken on loads and completely burned myself out, and you've had to say to me, right, stop, calm down. And equally, I think sometimes you've passed on a bit, and I've learned what I can and can't do, and I've been able to say to you, I'll do that and that, but not that. And I think, again, that sort of understanding is important.
And it's having that confidence as well, to be a good, to use your assertiveness skills and say.
That took a while for me to get, but again, I've got there now.
As well, so but fantastic. But thank you for sharing your story. I think Maria could do the whole session basically. You don't need me, you know what I mean? So I think a volunteer's journey showcases how amazing volunteering is. If you find the right organisation, you get the right support, you get so much out. And I think if more charities or third sector organisations could invest in a little bit extra time, you get so much more back from that person. And if you look at that, our social media and stuff like that, a lot of that stuff's done by Maria as well, and it's amazing.
I think for me it's really important that the NHS and care organisations really link in with this and enable those patients and service users to come to these services and have that development where they can come into volunteering, because it gets you back into that society and back feeling like you have that purpose, and you've displayed that completely so naturally and with such a smile that actually it shows where the journey that you've come and how far you've come and how brilliant you are and what this can do for people. And that, like June said before, it's invaluable. You can't buy that. You can't get somebody to act that. It's real, and this is what happens, and this is where it's amazing. So thank you, both of you.
Thank
Fantastic. You. Super duper. I'm just going to reshare the little PowerPoint just so you've got the slides on there. Okay. So these are some of the charities and organisations that Cumbria CBS works with, and who needs volunteers as well. So it just gives you an idea, like Family Action, Howgill Family Centre, Carnegie Theatre, Citizens Advice, British National Park, CARES, County Council, Food Bank, British Heart Foundation. So you can imagine all the general charities that you might see on the high street, or some of the smaller community groups as well. These are some of the organisations that we work with and who all need volunteers. And what we're generally finding now is there isn't enough volunteers to support organisations. So if anyone is interested in volunteering or has any patients, colleagues, families, friends, networks, just shout out about volunteering, because all these charities do need more volunteers as well. So this is one of the roles that Maria actually did, was around virtual and digital volunteering, and I'm mentioning it because it's an opportunity where we find if you are working with patients and they are kind of either housebound, having mental health issues, physical disabilities, and they have the skills, so they can do like admin, or they can do newsletters, or they can create posters, or create videos, or do proofreading online, or support online events or press releases. Cumbria CDS can utilise these volunteers, but also other organisations can. But even if you look at these posters on this slide, these have been created by our digital volunteers as well. So all the graphics that you kind of see going out on our Cumbria CDS social media, digital volunteers, all based from home, create the work, and it helps us to promote the need for more volunteers from all the different third sector organisations in Cumbria as well. So if you know who could be a digital volunteer, just to get them to contact me at Cumbria CDS. Some of the questions that we get patients ask about organisations that want to recruit volunteers is, can I see a volunteering opportunity in action before I sign up and register to volunteer? Often organisations will let you go down and see it in action, so you can kind of get a flavour about the actual volunteering role. It's a little bit like a look and see. You kind of get a vibe whether you think that opportunity is for you. I think obviously if it's somewhere like a charity shop, it's easier. But if it's, for example, a Girl Guide group or a family action group, you can go down and see it. You can kind of see how that would be in reality as well. Are there any one-off or short-term volunteering opportunities? Yes. At the moment, we get organisations asking for volunteers to help out. At the moment, we've got NSPCC, for example, and they need some volunteers in Carlisle for some fundraising days. But throughout the year, we get asked from the charities who just need volunteers for one-off or short-term. So if that was better for an individual to do rather than like ongoing commitment, we can let people know about those short-term volunteering opportunities. Is there any flexibility with the times when I can volunteer? As sometimes my health condition changes, so I may not always feel well enough to volunteer. I would say generally there is flexibility of organisations when you can volunteer. That there is sometimes there isn't, in a sense where organisation may have a rota where you'll be expected to be on a set time and a set routine, if that makes sense as well. So you might be asked to do a Thursday on the lunch club between 11 and 2, and that can't be changed because that's for the time that lunch club takes place, so we can't move it. If you're working with an individual in the community, or if you're doing something where it's admin based or digitally based, that is more flexible because that can be changed. It's not a set time, and working with them at any time if you communicate with the organisation and that individual. Would my host organisation benefit to know more about my health condition and how it might affect me in my volunteering role? And I would definitely say yes as well. I know when I first met Maria and she told me about her health conditions, what I did is I spent some time to research about it so I could get a better understanding. But I also asked Maria, how does it affect you and how can I support you better in your volunteering role? And that's why it's really important to understand the health condition, but understand it's okay to ask questions about someone's health and how you can best support them. It's not like it's a quiet thing. You need to have those open conversations to make sure you can support someone in their volunteering role as well. What support can they access to volunteer formally? So the CDS can access initial support at the moment, but through that step forward into volunteering and employment, there will be much more one-to-one support to encourage people to get into volunteering or employment with severe, in particular who have severe mental health issues as well. And I think like Maria said earlier, that project was designed really for Maria 2 years ago, but it wasn't there. But now, fortunately, through the mental health transformation funding, we have got it. So it's about us being able to support more Marias, but also about us educating and supporting different organisations to be more inclusive, so to see the benefits of involving people with mental health issues in their organisations. Is volunteer training in person or online? And again, each organisation that takes on volunteers, some people offer training in person and some do it online. A lot of organisations have moved to more online training, if I'm completely honest, through lockdown. that some organisations will do it in person as well. Can I volunteer at home virtually, or does it need to be in person? And again, you can volunteer from home. There's different organisations that do take on volunteers to work from home, but there's also opportunities where you can do in the community volunteering as well, which is just as beneficial as well. But I think again, it's having those conversations with someone who wants to volunteer and asking them, you know, do you want to volunteer from home, or do you want to go out into the community as well? And is there a volunteer manager I can speak to if I come across any problems in my volunteer role? Generally, all the organisations that we work with have a designated named contact or a designated volunteer manager who is there to support someone from the start of the journey throughout their volunteering as well, really. And it's really important individuals know who this person is, because it's that support mechanism as well to make sure you've got all the training and all the support that you need in order for you to do that role. And these are from all the questions I get asked at CDS, these are the top frequently asked questions as well. Do volunteers need to commit to regular hours to volunteer, and on average, how much time per week does a volunteer need to volunteer for? I would generally say it's around 2 to 3 hours a week that an organisation asks for a regular commitment from a volunteer. A volunteer has a particular interest or skill. Where can they volunteer? So again, Cumbria CDS has organisations that register opportunities where it is a set skill. So it could be website design, it could be digital marketing, it could be a treasurer, so you need financial skills as well. If CDS doesn't have any of these opportunities at that moment in time, we'll then use our third sector organisations and communicate with them to say, we've got this volunteer, they can do this on this day at this time, can you involve them? And then we generally get the volunteer opportunities back. So we can offer that matching process for volunteers to organisations in the community. If a volunteer is claiming benefits, can they volunteer? Yes, they can. I know many years ago there was kind of rules where you couldn't volunteer any more than 16 hours a week. What we generally say to anyone who is on benefits is to let their job centre advisor know that they are volunteering. There's a very simple form that the job centre asks you to complete, but it doesn't affect your benefits as well. You can volunteer if you are on benefits as well, but if you're on, say, something like job seekers allowance, you need to be able to attend your job interview. You can't say, oh, I'm volunteering, I can't. And you still have to be seen to actively seeking employment as well, really. Do volunteers receive volunteer expenses? Generally, travel expenses to work on your volunteering, or if you are travelling within your volunteering role as well. Some organisations might reimburse lunch or childcare, but as a minimum, I would say it's travel that most of the organisations do. What training and support can volunteers get? So with any new volunteering role, there'll be some form of training or support. It's a bit like starting a new job. The more intense the volunteering opportunity, so say if it's something like a victim support volunteer, there's much more training involved than if it was volunteering for a local shop mobility, for example, as well. But either way, there'll still be training involved, because obviously it's new systems and it's getting used to new procedures and how to do things in each different organisation as well. Can volunteers get a job through volunteering? What I would say is it enhances a CV. It means if anyone's got a gap on their CV, it means a volunteer can put that onto their CV, and it helps someone getting into doing a job application or when they get to interview as well, really. I know people, I had a volunteer through CDS many years ago, and she's now a volunteer manager at the Community Law Centre. That's it works. I started volunteering with CDS in 1994. I got a job through CDS in 2002 after I went to university. So it can open doors. Sometimes you can be fortunate to get a job if you volunteer and the job application comes up. Volunteers are generally communicated with about any internal vacancies, and are offered to apply for them if they go externally as well. But if it's not with that charity that you're volunteering with, it could potentially be that stepping stone to volunteer to get a job through volunteering in another organisation as well. So it does open doors. I mean, when I did volunteering from the young age, as you know, from age 14 up until 18, and then went to uni. And then when I graduated, I got a job up at the CDS, but I also got a job offered at the NHS as well. And I turned the NHS one down, and I came to the CDS. But I truly believe if it wasn't for volunteering, I wouldn't be, sat here today talking to you about volunteering. And it does open doors as well. So in terms of training opportunities, each organisation will offer training opportunities, and it is through your volunteering. The volunteers often get asked to do some genetic code training, so that could be things around equality and diversity, confidentiality, communication skills, safeguarding. But depending on what the role is, there'll be more kind of tailored training as well. So if it was, for example, the volunteer bodies for the mental health transformation funding, we will then offer training in mental health. But if you're going to be doing some training with how supporting families, there'll be training there around child protection and how to work with families. If you're going to be volunteering as a listening volunteer for the Samaritans, there'll be listening skills training as well. So it's all around tailoring that training around the organisation and the opportunities for volunteers. Sometimes organisations will offer additional training and optional training for volunteers. And again, that's up to volunteers if they want to choose to do that as well. So in terms of making a difference in your community, I think in lockdown, one of the things that we saw was how amazing informal volunteering was. So if formal volunteering isn't something that is appropriate for a patient at this moment in time, because it might seem, it's a little bit too daunting. So like Maria said, if she'd have asked this 24 months ago, formal volunteering was a no-no, that the informal volunteering might have been something that she might have chosen to do. So we always encourage people to think about how else can they make a difference in their community and give back. And that can be anything from calling another person, which Annie mentioned earlier, just checking on how they're doing, doing some gardening for an elderly neighbour, checking on a new mum, doing the shopping with someone, having a coffee with someone, but even just smiling when you're walking down the street. You never know what's going on in someone's life. And smile and just make the world a nice place to be in and give back to your community as well. Working with people around recycling, litter picks in the community, and recycling carrier bags or donating them to a local food bank, or even helping the environment by walking or cycling and not getting a bus. This is all around how we can all take small steps to give back to our community, and it doesn't cost anything. And it's about getting an individual to think about what could they do to make a difference where they live. And again, here's about donating. This is a volunteer in Barrow. She donated some old clothes to the Salvation Army. They had a clothes bank at a local supermarket. It could be checking in on a friend who you might not have heard from for several weeks. Why is that? If you see someone out in the community and they've got a pram and they're struggling to get some steps or to open the door, offer to help. Donating to a food bank, whether that's directly or via the supermarket, checking in on neighbours, but also, if you see a homeless person, don't just walk by them, ask them, how's the day? Because you might be that only person who sits down and asks how they're getting on. So again, it's thinking about what could your patients pledge the kid to the community, other people, neighbours or family or friends. So we created some little pledge cards to get people thinking about what could they pledge to do individually to make a difference in Cumbria, or make a difference wherever you are here in the North East as well. So it's it could be, I'm going to, make a hot meal for an elderly neighbour who I know is by themselves. It could be, I'm going to do some shopping for a disabled person down the street, or I'm going to do someone's grass at the weekend because I've noticed it's getting overgrown and they can't do it because they're now in hospital. So it's just thinking about what small steps can we all pledge to give, and to do that by giving that back to our local community. The little card that I created is just to try and get people to write on it and to share them on social media, so we can kind of spread that giving back to the community and spread that power of how amazing it is to volunteer and how amazing it is to give back to that community as well. And I think I don't need to talk about the benefits of volunteering, because I know Maria has. It kind of showcases when you've got people like Maria, it really does show the benefits of volunteering, how that's changed her life, and how now she's like looking at, yeah, I can actually apply for a job and I actually want to move forward and get back into employment. But if employment isn't on the for the agenda for other people, it can, through volunteering, you can have fun, you can meet people, you've got a sense of well-being, you can personally develop yourself through access and training, you can make a difference, feel part of the community, and meet new people and make new friends and learn your social networks and feel part of that team as well. And volunteering does that. And it's also about finding the right volunteering role, and hopefully Cumbria CDS can help an individual do that. And I always like to end on Captain Tom. And obviously Captain Tom, he raised, I think, was it 33 million for the NHS. But if Captain Tom can make a difference in his garden, just under the age of 100, by walking up and down a path and supporting the local NHS, I think we can all learn from Captain Tom. We've all got something to offer. We can all make a difference. We've all got some time spare at that in our busy lives. But also, long time work can change someone's day. And if anything, just be nice to people and be kind. And hopefully the community that we live in will be bigger and better and brighter place. So if you had more Captain Toms and more Marias making a difference, and all our charities and third sector organisations will be a much more vibrant community to be part of. So I'll stop there for questions, and there's my contact details. So my name is Judith Snail. I can judiths@cumbriacds.org.uk, or just give me a call on 01768 800 350, or visit our website at cumbriacds.org.uk, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, and also on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much for that, Judith.